everyone. On behalf of Jayshree Periwal International School, we are delighted to welcome our IGCSE coordinator, Aisha ma'am, all respected teachers and students from grade 9 to 12. It is an honor to host this special alumni webinar at JPIS, a school nationally recognized for its outstanding university placements and for sending students to some of the most prestigious institutions in the world, including the Ivy Leagues, Oxford, Cambridge, Stanford, U Chicago, and many more.
That's right, Amira. Today's session is a celebration of excellence and aspiration, a chance for our students to learn firsthand from alumni who once sat where you sit today and who have now built impactful careers across diverse fields. Their journeys reflect not only hard work, but also the values and global mindset that define JPIS.
Before we begin, we would like to introduce Univariety, JPIS's long standing partner in student career guidance, alumni engagement, and university counseling.
Univariety is one of India's leading education, guidance, and alumni connect platforms. Their technology-driven support helps students make informed career decisions, stay connected with alumni worldwide, and gain real-time insights into university admissions. Their partnership plays a major role in helping JPS remain one of the top placement schools in the country.
We now invite our first speaker of the day, Mr. Jayshree Periwal, an alumni from the class of 2014.
Okay,
Sahaj.
Amira, I'll take 1 minute. Welcome, Charu ma'am, our assistant DPC. That must be, Naman, and you can congratulate her. Aisha ma'am and other teachers, may I request you to please come. Niharika, I'm sure you know these three boys. Yeah, see? So Niharika is still here. Some of us, we have, decided not to leave. So I hope that you guys have no problem with that. Okay, yeah. So please, teachers, may I request you to please come. Come, Soumya ma'am, come in front. Yeah. Okay, now Amira, you may begin.
Thank you, ma'am. We are delighted to invite the first speaker of the day, Mr. Jayshree Periwal, an alumni from the class of 2014. Jayshree is a practicing advocate specializing in white-collar crime, media and technology law, and data privacy regulation. His research has been published on major platforms, and several of his pieces have even been referenced by leading institutions such as Harvard University and the University of Florida.
His journey is a testament to intellectual rigor, perseverance, and the global excellence JPS strives for. Mr. Sahajveer, we're honored to have you with us this morning. The screen is now all yours.
Hi, thank you so much for your warm greeting, and hello everyone who all are present, and thank you for giving this platform to come back again to this school and share all my memories, and also to talk all with students who are studying there. I have a small PPT made last 20 minutes. I'm so sorry for not coming out with a great presentation, but anyway. So I'll just briefly introduce about myself. I actually completed my schooling in 2016, but I left school in 2014 after completing my 10th. And then I changed actually to study PCM. Therefore, I took a school where the attendance was not that strict, so that I could study for my IIT preparation. But eventually, things didn't turn out the way I wanted to, and I gave CLAT, which is Common Law Admission Test, to enter into law schools. And subsequently, after my school, I got into one of the national law universities, which is NLU Patiala. I was there for 5 years. And then I went for my master's at Cambridge. I did my MPhil in criminology. And thereafter, completing that in 2023, I came back to Jaipur and I'm since practicing here from July 2023 till now. So if I talk about school, I think when I joined, it just started. Jayshree Periwal International School was just started. Earlier, we knew that as step-by-step international school. I still remember that school with that name only. It is still very difficult for me to understand that the name has now been changed. But I joined that school in 2012, was there briefly for 3 years. But I think much of my transition came when I joined that school. I'm not boasting about school, but actually it is very real because I think the main thing which I got from the school is personal attention. I believe I was not given much attention in my previous school, but once I came here, I remember Swati ma'am. I joined school and I got both my hands fractured while playing football. So Swati ma'am used to teach English and she used to write notes for my in my notebook while she was teaching also. So I thought this kind of kindness, if some teacher can show, I think this is the best place to be. And then 3 years, I don't know how much I still remember those years. I still connect with all those people who I've studied with. I still remember each section where I have studied in eighth and in ninth and in 10th. But I think one thing that I have taken away from that school is curiosity. You did not have to rote learn what you were being taught. You were actually taught as if you were imbibing those things. Even if it is a physics class, even if it is a chemistry class, nothing was thrown to us that you have to just learn it. Everything was taught to us that yes, this could be one of the factors. You can also have your own expression to that fact. And I think curiosity traveled with me when I left the school. And eventually, when I am practicing currently, that thing is really helping with me. Today, the objective which was told to me is that I should talk more about a career choice as a advocacy if students want to pursue it. And I think it is one of the finest professions to select. As I told, my initial idea was not to take law, but to prepare for IIT, which I eventually did. But ending up with law is something I would never regret. It is something that has actually changed my perception for things. Though watching Suits, I'm sure most of us have watched Suits, but law is totally different from what Suits is. I don't know if you have all watched Jolly LLB. I think law is more relatable to that movie. It is actually that Suits is nothing. It is not even 1% of what happens in the court. And I believe profession of law is something, I mean, I'll just tell you what we call it. It's a jealous mistress. It requires so much of your time that you don't have anything left with yourself. So maybe it could be good profession for some, it could not be good profession for some. But if you are able to give attention, emotions, bandwidth, etc. Because sometimes I have to deal with those criminal cases which we would regret to read in newspapers, but eventually you have to take up those cases. So it's something that takes a toll on your emotional health also, but at the same time it also takes a courage to fight those cases. And I believe litigation or practicing as an advocate, you actually get to know so many factors of life, maybe social life, maybe practical life, physical life, economic life, that you hardly miss out on those. You really miss on those things when you take other professions. I'm not here to convince that everyone should take law, but I'm just telling you how I did not know many things before taking law, and I think through law, I've progressed day by day and have started knowing many things that I may not have studied earlier. Be it history, be it geography, law requires every knowledge. You need to have every knowledge. You can't be just good in law and not good in anything, because the field of law is built on everything apart from law, and law is only the top of the pyramid. It comes as a boundary. It comes as a pyramid shape where first is maybe your social life, then it comes your geography, then physics and etc., and then finally it comes law. Law is at the top of the pyramid, and for that you need to have knowledge of everything. And that is the actual beauty of this profession, right? Because you say that you practice law, but at the end you're practicing everything. You don't know what law you end up taking up. I prefer taking white collar crime cases, which is money laundering, corruption, because it is not much heinous in that sense that you need to see those grave images of some incident happening. But yes, sometimes you do take up those cases. But I think when I was a student, my knowledge of law would have only limited to knowing that okay, we have a constitution, we have a fundamental right, we have a fundamental duty. But this is all a pith and substance of what we understand as law. Law, I think we practice law every day, because recently there was an event in Jaipur. I don't know if anyone has attended. It was Justice Mela. It happened for 2 days. And there the concept came whether justice is only delivered through law, or there can be other mediums to deliver justice, be it social justice, be it animal justice, be it educational justice. Is law only a mechanism to deliver justice, or is it the only tool to deliver justice? I think that question remained with me since I started working in this profession, because sometimes there's a ethical choice that you have to make, either to represent a certain client, either not to represent a certain client. But I think everything boils down to one factor: whether you are able to secure justice for that person or not. Sometimes I'll come to the reality of daily practice. Maybe sometimes we spend hours of reading, hours of researching, because in suits we have seen that a lawyer comes with a fancy gown, fancy coat, three-piece suit, and then start saying whatever he knows. But that is not actually true. Law as a profession requires reading 18 hours and then speaking for 30 minutes. That is what law requires. You don't have to go to court and then start saying anything. Because when you are practicing as a court, one skill that is required is your argumentative skills, which I believe I didn't have in all my school life. I actually had problems speaking English. I couldn't converse very nicely in English. But I think when you plan to take up something, it also makes way for your profession. When I argue in the courts now, we don't get much hearing because we obviously are young lawyers, and young lawyers are not much preferred in courts, which is also a hard reality. I should be very real when someone has to make a practical choice in their life. Practicing in courts as a young lawyer, and that too when you don't have a support of your parents, in that sense you are not a second generation lawyer, you're not a third generation lawyer, you are a first generation lawyer. Things become difficult for you. You need to stand up against someone who's practicing for 35 years. Maybe judge also takes the other person who has a long practice very seriously compared to you. So sometimes you have to appreciate that you'll fail more than you'll success in this profession. Every day is failing 10 times, winning one time. And maybe it can be 11 times failing each day in this profession. But the thing is, would you be able to survive those failures and then again stand up with same face in morning in court and then say, okay, I'm again ready to argue a case? Because winning is like a flip of a coin. One side will only win in a litigation case. One side will obviously fail, and that accumulates to many factors. Maybe you are doing a great preparation, you have studied a lot, your case is really strong, but maybe some factors didn't concern. Maybe that judge who has come today sitting and hearing the case is not in the right psychological mind. It's not just your preparation which is required, it is also reading the psychology of judges. And that's what I said, law requires everything. You also need to understand the psychology of persons. Maybe sometimes you have to argue more, and sometimes you also have to understand that you have to argue less in this case. It is also psychology. Maybe judge is not going with you, maybe you have to take a date in that case. It is not that everything what you are arguing makes sense to a judge. Maybe he's not getting what you are saying. It is always better than you take a date. So I'm saying law requires a overhaul appreciation of each subject that you study. Maybe it's psychology, maybe it historical facts. And this requires intense preparation if you actually want to stand up against someone who are practicing for 20 years in this profession. Because when you practice, there's no discrimination in that sense. Anyone can get a case, anyone can represent their clients. But once you enter that courtroom, you need to have that courage that, okay, I know I can fail, I am ready to fail, but am I ready to stand again tomorrow morning after that failure? And that sums up the whole journey of law and practicing as a litigation. I've been always told by my seniors, never regret failing a case, because you never fail. You either win or you learn. So once you understand this psychology that you win or you learn, there's no failure, then no matter how important the case is, you'll eventually grow. I'll tell you one very interesting case which I am currently dealing. It is on competition law. Competition law is basically, do I have time, or is it there's a paucity? I'll just, else I would stick to my presentation.
Yes, you can take one minute.
Yes. So I'll just briefly tell you about a case which I am dealing. It's a competition law case where I am representing against Microsoft company as a entity. And for Microsoft, a battery of lawyers come in Delhi. It's the matters in Delhi, where I am saying that, oh, Microsoft has this they provide softwares with, but with that they also give free their Microsoft antivirus, which is against market practices because you are shutting down the antivirus markets for others. For my client, you are shutting down the opportunity to grow. And that's what competition law is, to protect market for different consumers. When I went to court for the first time against Microsoft, 12 lawyers came. I got obviously nervous that this is a very big case and I am representing against 12 persons. So very first day I went and I took a date. I said I'm not ready to argue today. I'm give me a date. I'll come next time prepared. But next time judge said you'll have to argue. There's no other opportunity. It's the last opportunity to argue. Else we'll dismiss your appeal. But next time I went and I had no option. And I remembered one thing, either I'll win today or I'll learn today. And eventually I win that day. I got notice and the court was court was pleased to grant relief to my client in that case. And the case is now pending. But I still remember that what my seniors told and what I meant, that whatever at the end of the day we do, it's not just hard work that we do, it is actually a meaningful work that we do. Maybe we get a chance to make real impact. That is what advocacy shapes us. It gives us more clarity that what we are doing is something, yes, it is something right. We are doing something ethical. We are actually representing our clients. We are actually either making their day or losing their day. And with that pressure on yourself, you are actually making your life meaningful and impactful. So, law as a profession actually gives you to do two things. One, to make change for your clients, and actually, second, to do or to contribute. I would not say to do, but to contribute in the whole justice system. As a lawyer, also, you are a participant, you are an officer of the court. You're getting to create or make your space in that justice system and contribute maybe through legal justice, not just social justice. So, law as a profession, you should take up, and why you should not, maybe if something you want easy money, because in this profession for first 10-15 years there is no easy money. You'll not get clients, you'll have to look for clients, you'll have to meet everyone, you have to be more extrovert. Everyone you'll see as a potential client. Oh, this could be my potential client, this could be my potential client someday, because there's a big market in Rajasthan. In Jaipur itself, more than 50,000 advocates are practicing. All over India there are 20 lakh advocates who are practicing, and in a population of 140 crores now, if there are 20 lakh advocates practicing, there's a very wide gap. And out of those also, it's a very difficult spot to survive for initial years. But if you take, again, everything boils down. If you have courage, then this profession is nothing. It's the best profession that you can take in terms of what I said, that you can actually contribute to the system in a very, very fashioned manner. So that's what my take is towards law. And I'm sure we'll have some discussion session afterwards, and students have any query, we can obviously address it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sahajvi, for that insightful session.
Before we move on, we are privileged to be joined by the head of school, Manisha ma'am. Thank you for gracing us with your time, with your presence, ma'am, albeit virtually. Moving forward, it is our pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Paraj from the class of 2018. A multidisciplinary designer, Paraj has established himself in interaction design, branding, visual communication, and UX strategy. He has worked with organizations such as Innova Labs, Urban Sketchers, and UX India, and has contributed significantly to design-led brands like the Sterling Factory and Junkie Silver Jewelry.
His journey truly reflects innovation, creativity, and passion. Paraj, we're excited to hear from you. The floor is now yours.
So, good morning, students and teachers, and hi, Manisha ma'am. Hello, Soumya ma'am. Hi, Niharika ma'am. Hi, Jessie ma'am. Hi, Charu ma'am. Hi, Aisha ma'am. It has been like really good to see all of you, and it really like I think it is only the location which is like new to me, but otherwise, all of this brings a lot of nostalgia and memories of me being a student myself, sitting on that side and watching this very same webinar across. It's been 7, 8 years now. Yes. So it has been like really nice to see all of you. Just share my screen. So is my whole screen visible? Yes.
Yes.
So as introduced, my full name is Paraj Bhargav and I'm currently based in Jaipur. And full time I'm working with the company which his name is Ayush Kaswal Furniture Design. It is one of those companies which works in interior design, architecture design, and furniture design. For a better brief, if anyone of you have traveled abroad over the course of last 10 years, you must have arrived at the Delhi International Airport, where there's this golden color wall with the different mudras which is over there. So my company is something which has designed that, and many other iconic locations of Jaipur, like the Shikar Bagh restaurant at Narayan Niwas Palace. So this is the title of my presentation, From Theory to Experience, because unlike any other institute which I have been part of, like for example, my university, that is GK Lakshmipathy University, Jaipur, JPIS actually trained me for something which I was never ready for, ranging from all the theoretical things to one of the subjects which I had in 10th grade and 12th grade. Charu ma'am, a really big shout out to you. The subject of history, like really, prepared me a lot towards how I need to see things, how I need to, prepare content and submit things. I think I'm not able to see Kitty ma'am and others. Is Kitty ma'am present there? Okay, so another subject which I had was visual arts. So subjects like these, really gave me a global outlook towards things. I used to be in I was in JPS Jaipur, but the exposure which I used to get from subjects like visual arts, history, it used to really enlighten me and make me look forward to what's ahead of me in future. So just a roundabout of things which I do over here. When it comes to graphic design, this term must be something which a lot of art and design, visual art students must be fancying towards. On the surface, it just looks like fine, that we have to just work on social media marketing, for example, designing Instagram posts, designing posters, designing brochures, designing catalogs. Like for example, right now you must be getting guest universities and visiting universities who must be distributing various collaterals of theirs, like uh, pen with their labels, brochures, and different catalogs with different photographs. Graphic design is more beyond that. As I went into the industry, it's been 3 years since I've been working now. As you go into the industry, you'll realize that fine. If, for example, if you are in school right now and you are following a certain timetable, in a single day you'll get 6 to 7 different subjects. At this point moment, it might be possible that you'll think that why are we getting so many subjects at once? Why is there so many, substitutions happening? Oh, third period was supposed to be sports, but now it's something else. At this moment, you'll start thinking, ki, why are we getting these subjects? Why are we, having all of this? Trust me, coming from someone who was just there at your, I might have been possible that approx 7, 8 years ago, I would have been sitting next to you. It goes a long way. And the teachers who are sitting right there with you, trust me, they'll take you through all of this and will really give you good exposure. When it comes to UI UX design, I think you guys must be still using My School app if I'm not wrong. If you guys are good, otherwise you must be using some other mobile app or something.
There is a
Sorry. Let me see.
You're
Because
using
now
my
we
school.
use a similar one, School
Yeah,
Note.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, School Note
School
app.
Note,
Okay,
yeah.
yes. So the School Note app which you are using, it is one of the biggest examples I can give you of UI UX design, because it has, covered all of those good aspects of, for example, if a student is currently using it, or if teacher or a coordinator is using it. That is something which is a very good app, and you'll be designing things like this in case if you want to step into the field like a UI UX design. When it comes to the work which I do related to system design, it is like, a very big field where you are working with organizations like for example, I have worked with the organization which you all must be knowing. It's called JK Paper Limited. Whenever you go to the Xerox room and whenever you get a photocopy, the person takes out a sheet of paper from the packet, that JK paper. I worked with their attendance system, like designing the whole labor work and contractor workers attendance system is something which I am working with them currently. So all of this is something which I was like actually not at all prepared with. University was fine that even though there were different courses, different materials which are provided over the course of my 4 year program, but JPIS is something which during our IDE courses, my IB course from 11th to 12th grade, there was something which was given to us known as CAS, Creativity, Activity, and Service. So while completing those CAS hours, I was actually, getting exposed to different people outside the comfort of my home and my city. I was going to different villages, I was going to different organizations and helping them. So that was something which really gave me a good exposure of. Now those three things are something which are, initially on the surface might look like a hobby to many of you people: photography, editing, and content writing. But this is something which, really forms a core of my approach towards things. Photography is basically something which I'll just say is capturing. You don't need a camera for photography. As you later on go throughout your day, you observe various things. For example, if you're walking down the corridor and Manisha ma'am here gives you a very annoyed look, you'll be able to realize, did I leave my submissions on time? Was I able to show up for my IOC on time, for my FOA over time? All of these terms literally, give me a memory throwback. So that is something which will really come to use for you. Initially, at this point of time, you must be having different hobbies, different things to go on. Manisha ma'am, do they have the dance as a subject in IGCSE or in IB only?
So we have dance as a subject in IB.
Okay, yes. So as I just said, you must be having 11th and 12th grade students as well. So you'll realize that someone asked, how can dance be a subject? But the very big example which you guys have with you is Manisha ma'am right here. I think Manisha ma'am, Soumya Di had a dance subject, right? So later on, right now, I don't know what all subjects you offer now, but you'll get a lot of subjects, and make sure in case you have any of these things as something which you want to pursue as a career. I am a living example for you guys. I definitely can give a testimony that it will work for you. You just have to make sure that you have two things in mind with you. One, a professional job, another, a good hobby. These things are something, as long as you have gotten it sorted, you'll be able to move on in life properly. There are a lot of fields across India, across the world, where all of these things is something which many of the big companies make use of. Fine, if you can't do photography, we need a graphic designer. If you can't do graphic designing, we need a UI UX designer. So in case if anybody is interested in any of these fields, you can later on reach out to me and connect with me, and I'll definitely make sure that you'll be able to work well in these fields. So long story short, I'm someone who just goes around the country for different exhibitions, different meetings, different sessions, different projects. But at the end of the day, just like right here, I don't introduce myself as a graphic designer, as a system designer, as a photographer. I am having to, resort to introducing myself as a designer. So that was it, ma'am.
I think we can see Paraj is missing school. He remembers and he mentions all his teachers and he remembered all his IOCs and FAOs. Good to hear from you, Paraj.
Yeah,
And a
ma'am.
lot of information you've given about different fields of design today.
Thank you, Paraj, for that engaging presentation. Now we welcome our final speaker for today, Naman Agarwal, from the class of 2015.
Hi guys, I hope all of you can hear me. First of all, I wasn't expecting Manisha ma'am to be here. It just takes me back. And looking at the whole auditorium right now, it just feels like I was just there performing with my band. And all the teachers here, Soumya ma'am, Aisha ma'am, Charu ma'am, I am genuinely just stuck in nostalgia right now looking at all of you. I've been asked to keep it very short, but if I had the opportunity, I would just continue talking right now because that's essentially what I've done after school. My presentation, actually, I'm just going to share that as well. Yeah. So I hope you can see the presentation.
Yes.
I have been like right now we're basically the Star Murti Museum. I'm working. It's a 100-year-old family business in Jaipur. Before I joined the business, I went through a very long journey. I was in Nottingham. Sorry, my voice isn't too well. I was in Nottingham. I was in Dubai. I've worked with data science internships. I've worked with Deloitte in London as well. And the main thing I've done is I've made a lot of mistakes. As Sahaj pointed out really well. I've made a lot of mistakes and learned throughout the way. So I just want to share a few things I learned about how to choose a career, how to build skills, avoid, common traps that people put in front of you, and, start preparing for your future in a very practical way, because the classes right now are 8, 9, 10, 9, 10th, 11th, 12th, from what I understand. It is the perfect time to figure out what you actually want to do. These are just a few memories of school, the university, and my graduation. Um, One thing I really understood well during the school was to not follow the common path. I shouldn't be saying this right now, but I've spent way too much time bunking classes and spending time with Manisha ma'am, and spending time in the music room as well. That, like, those ended up being the core memories of of my school time, because they helped me build character. They helped me figure out that you don't have to stay on the common path. And I think you'll see that in my presentation as well. I have not stuck to one thing for some time. I explored so many different areas and then figured out, what it is I actually want to do. Um, so you can see that after school, I studied economics at the University of Nottingham. That's where I realized that, your stream gives you a starting point. It's not a cage. You don't have to limit yourself to what you study. So economics essentially helped me figure out analytical thinking. That's where I explored tech, I explored data science, business development, finance, entrepreneurship. And I worked at various roles, from auditing in London. I formed the cryptocurrency society in the university. I started multiple marketing projects, and I realized that your stream is not really your destiny, your skills are. Because what I'm doing right now essentially is an amalgamation of all of those skills. So, running a business is not an easy job. You have to, like, we have about 400 artisans working with us, and we're supplying sculptures, we're supplying handicraft products to about 90 plus countries right now. So you constantly have to innovate. You have to figure out how to manage people as well. And one thing that you can probably see from here as well, that picking colleges that align with your career direction, that is very important. You have to start preparing for exams early. You have to remember that they're not just milestones, they're not just verdicts, but they are essentially stepping stones to where you actually want to be. And once you actually get to the university, you'll see, the societies that you end up being a part of. So I think I was a part of at least 10 different societies in the university. I've done skydive. I've done about 20 skydives up until now, simply because I realized, going from school to school, I've actually jumped a few floors in the school as well, not something I should be talking about here. But I realized I basically love adrenaline rush. And that's something that was seen in my university experience as well. Um, Getting back to career, you don't have to pick the only familiar career choices. The doctors, CA, and engineers, and our teachers here will ensure that you have that you have teaching that allows you to explore any specific field. And the hard skills that you learn here, the soft skills that you learn here, the character skills that you learn here, they will define your experience in life. So even during university, I learned, that balance isn't about doing less. It's about focusing better on what you actually want to do. And that's 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 kind of it. To be very honest with you, I really want to talk more about myself, but I would rather hear from everyone. And if there are any specific questions that you guys have, I would love to know more about that.
Thank you, Naman, for that enlightening presentation. You exemplified the JPS values of ambition, leadership, and reinvention exceptionally.
A big thank you to all three of our alumni for sharing their incredible journeys. We will now open the floor for a 30-minute Q&A session where students can interact directly with our speakers.
Students, you may raise your hands, type your questions in the chat, or unmute yourself when called upon. We also have a set of curated backup questions in case time permits. You may raise your hands if you have any questions, please.
Okay, Aishani and the other kid, would you please start the questioning session? And if you want the question to be specifically asked to one of them, you may do so. Where is Aishani? Okay. Who asks the first question and to whom? Can the child stand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Good morning. My name is Ashvi. So my question is for Naman sir. In your journey as handling the business, what was one risk that you and how did you overcome it? Was it like a turning point or some kind of a different experience?
Thank you so much for the question. So, when you join a family business, one major hurdle that you'll face is either your dad or your mom. That's a hurdle that's very difficult to cross. So that's something. It was very difficult for my dad to, pass on responsibility to me initially. But I finished my family business masters with SP Jain University just some time back, and one great thing I learned there was you have to start taking very small responsibilities away from the head. So, for example, we have painters, we have polishers, and different kinds of artists working with us. उनका हिसाब करना होता है हम लोग को, ठीक है. I started by taking that responsibility away from him. From it would essentially take him 6 hours to do the hisab for for the painters, and I compressed it down to about 30 seconds. Just these small activities allowed him to trust me and allowed me to take more risks. So right now we are there's a festival happening in Birla Auditorium called the Shift Festival in just a few days. That was something I couldn't have done before because there wasn't enough trust from my dad's side. But now we've reached at a stage where I can take any risk that I want because the family trusts me, because they've seen I've consistently delivered results. So, for example, starting our online presence, we now have multiple great orders in Bolivia, and a country you wouldn't typically think about while you're exporting to. But building that trust with your family and ensuring that you consistently deliver, that's something that will allow you to take risks. And I've honestly been able to learn a lot because of that as well. And thank you so much for the question. I hope I've answered it. And if you have any follow-up to it, please let me know.
Thank you so much, Naman. Ashvi, do we have a follow-up?
No.
Okay. So could I request everyone to please start raising their hands for asking the questions?
Okay. I think Karnik here has been sitting down as mesmerized by all the future, that he can see. He wanted to ask a question and I could not, refuse because he was sitting so close to me. So the next question is from Karnik.
First of all, thank you everyone for enlightening us with your knowledge. So my question is like to Paraj. So it is like, what direction do you see in UI design, since there is like so much emerging technology, since there's so much innovation in AI. So what do you think in UI design like next year?
So, just for context, like a question to you, are you currently in 10th grade?
He's in 11th.
11th grade, okay. So back when I was in 11th grade, platforms like Canva, ChatGPT did not exist. None of it was there, right? Currently, the foundations on different student projects and everything is standing on, none of that existed. So whatever information, whatever news you get for platforms like UI design, artificial intelligence, not even a day passes and that becomes irrelevant. So as different platforms keep coming up, what I'll advise you to do is keep on playing with them, keep on tinkering one way or the other. Like for example, if you're in 11th grade currently, you'll have access to your laptop during your classes, right? So whenever you get free time, just keep on tinkering and exploring those platforms. Sometimes they are paid, sometimes they have free access, and in fact, if you guys have your student IDs at JPI School Wali ID, you can access many of these platforms free of charge. You get different benefits as well. So please make use of your time over at school, where you have all the internet access and laptops access all the time, and keep on playing with them. And to directly answer your question, as long as you keep those tools relevant in your life, you keep on using them for one way or the other, Like, for example, in fact, recording this very session, you'll remain relevant in the present as long as you keep these tools relevant, because you just can't turn a blind eye towards them. They are they are the present now. So keep on remaining in the present, and you as well as your work will remain relevant. In fact, the very presentation which I made was with AI.
Oh, same here. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think, Paraj, the best information that you have given is they can have some use of their ID card except for paying the fines for not wearing them. So, you know now, their IDs are very important. Okay. Next question is from Maharishi to Sejveer.
So I just wanted to ask, what did you do in your early college years to strengthen your application for postgraduate?
Right. So in my initial years, when I joined my law school in 2017, so I started writing a lot. I used to participate in every article writing competitions, not just because it improved my writing or it could improve my writing, because if you win the competition, you get to have some money of your own. Every competition came with some money. So that's how I started writing. I started enjoying writing. I started enjoying research because most of the times when I was in my law school, I spent most of the time in my library only. It was one of the finest libraries in India. So I was obviously very much enthusiastic to use that library. And once I started writing, there was no looking back. And when I was in my third year, because law school is of 5 years, when I was in third year, I saw my CV that now I have some good publications. Maybe I can target for Rhodes Scholarship. Because in my very first year, my teacher who taught me law of contracts, she told me that never anyone in this school has got into Rhodes Scholarship. Rhodes Scholarship is one of the prestigious scholarships in this world where you get to study at Oxford University for 2 years, fully scholarship, travel, funding, etc. So it is almost around 1.5 to 2 crore scholarship if you get one. And then out of India, only 5 students get to study. It is not only for law students, but for everyone who has done undergraduate. So it's one of the very competitive scholarship, but something that you should aspire to. So I also started looking forward towards that scholarship. I started rearranging my CV. Did not have any idea whether I would pursue masters abroad other than getting into scholarship or not. But I gave Rhodes Scholarship. There are 3 rounds. One is written round, and then subsequent 2 interviews if you qualify written round, and then first interview round. I qualified first written round. I qualified second interview round, and finally I couldn't make it to top 5 where you actually get selected. So out of top 20, I was eliminated, and I couldn't get into top 5. But at the end, I got to know that my CV and my resume, my statement of purpose is so strong that I could make it to this extent. Why not to apply to other universities also directly? So I applied to Cambridge, I applied to other universities in UK, and I made it. But then there was another rush for me that I would not study unless I get a scholarship. So I applied for different scholarships, and eventually I got a full scholarship to study from 3 different platforms, altogether making my study almost balanced out to my expenses. But I think what actually pushed me is writing and reading, as this profession also requires, and as what my first year taught me. You read more and you write less. But once you read more, whatever you write, every sentence makes sense. It has to make sense. We used to learn in English that we have to adopt the habit of pressy writing. It can't just go on. And so, what different authors have said, it is easy to write more than easy to write less. So once you learn the art of writing less but more impactful, I think it helps you everywhere. So is in your statement of purpose, because once you apply for masters, you have 500 words to apply. But for 500 words, you have to express whole your life you have lived till then. So that 500 words, each word will actually or make you fail or make you get into that college. So every word has to come out of your emotion, and for that, I think the more you read, that will actually help you. So read and read.
I think that's brilliantly put. Reading and writing. Our kids are very good at reading, maybe, and discussing a lot. But
Right.
when it comes to writing, we really have to push them. So, writing and reading, excellently put.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much for your knowledge.
Okay, very quickly, we can just have one more last question. I'm sorry, we have to wind up at 10 because you have classes. Okay, I see two young girls asking. Yeah, any one of them. Could you please stand up? Yeah.
My name is Yoshika. My question is for Sahaj. So my question was, as a first generation lawyer, what challenges did you face in society, like any social stigma and also like any pushback from your parents, and how did you deal with it?
I think my parents were very much motivated to not allowing me to get into business, my family business, and rather appreciating me to take something into more professional life. But now they are regretting because this profession requires a lot of time and energy. So my morning starts at 8 a.m. It does not, I don't know when it ends. It could be 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the night. That is one thing. But yes, there's no social stigma. But what I told earlier, there are more failures. Every day I get up, I know this is the list I have to represent in cases, and this is in these cases I'll definitely fail. There's no chances of winning, but I have to represent. That is what I have to do. Because not every case is good, not every case is winnable case, but everyone has a right to represent. So I have to represent their thoughts before court so that judge can appreciate those facts and decide. But what if I decide not to represent? What if I decide I'll only take up cases which I'll be very sure to win? That can never be a possible trait for a lawyer, because lawyer is the first thing that has been taught to us in law school is you can't say no to a case just because you think it is not winnable case, or just because you think it does not maybe matches with your moral thoughts or maybe your ethical practices. Because once you have entered this profession, you are not just as a professional, you are also, I would reiterate, an officer of the court. So you take up every case that comes to you and you can't say no to it. So social stigma, no, I would not say there's no social stigma. There could be evidently gender gaps. Maybe different genders have been treated differently because of patriarchal thoughts. But I have seen many female lawyers thriving in this profession. We have living examples. If you all remember Section 377 case, which was argued, it was argued by two female lawyers. One is Menaka Guruswamy. She's an excellent Rhodes Scholar and also a senior advocate at Supreme Court. And another her partner, Arundhati Kadju, also a very excellent female lawyer. Both of them argued that same-sex marriages should be allowed, and they were actually able to impress the court and get a favorable order. So gender stereotypes, yes, there are, but I think it is everywhere. You have to make your own pace and space. So I think you'll definitely thrive if you take this profession.
I think, Sahaj, you've answered most of our questions. Okay, and gender seems to be a problem. I do not know why. Although yesterday night they had a good gender mix at the prom. Do you remember prom, Naman, Sahaj, and Paraj?
I
Okay,
do.
so
Quite well, quite well, yeah.
yeah, quite remember.
Yeah.
Thank you, Manisha ma'am, for making this event happen. Thank you, Charu ma'am and Aisha ma'am. Thank you, Sumashri. I know at times we ask too much out of you, but that's what we are paid for. The teachers will always ask for more and more. So forgive me if we caused you a little discomfort. I hope children, those who are sitting here, you have at least one takeaway. I hope to see you like Sahaj, Paraj, and Naman one day, which sure you will be. And thank you to Amira and Medansh for being the MC at the last minute. Okay. Would you wind up now?
Geeta ma'am, may I just take a minute, if you don't
Sure,
mind?
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, firstly, Manisha ma'am and Geeta ma'am, for beautifully coordinating this. And, finally, we could execute this today. And all the three speakers, Sahaj and Naman and Paraj, thank you so much for accepting our invite and being a part of this session. I would also like to take this as an opportunity to tell you guys to please spread the word among your batchmates and please ask them to be part of this school's alumni network. I know the older batches are the difficult ones to engage with and to have them on board. So, Sahaj, I would really request your help in spreading the word among your batchmates and, kindly ask them to be part of this network. Same for you, Naman. And Paraj, yeah, most of them are there, but those all who are not there, please help me with this favor. And students, I know we've got a lot of takeaways from this session. All of them are from three different fields. one thing that I would request from your end is to kindly start making more usage of the Univariety platform, the access to which has been provided to you. Most of you have your profiles created, but yeah, just today because of time constraints, we could not ask more questions. But yeah, other than these three speakers, you've got more than 1700 plus seniors of yours who are there readily to guide you. Kindly make most usage of this platform. Thank you, everyone. Over to you,
Thank you,
Medan.
Sumishri. And everybody here, what Sumishri wants to say is, there are some very enthusiastic ninth graders here. I think they want to suggest something for the workshop like we had now. Okay, right. So they don't have any suggestion.
But Geeta, we can take suggestions from students also.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Because it was a very good mix today. Very different fields and very good advice that you've given. And I've learned a couple of things today. I learned something from Sahaj. I learned about competition law. From Paraj also I learned something. And from Naman I learned that parents can be a hurdle too. Thank you for reminding us.
Yeah.
But fantastic. And we can take the feedback from the students.
Yes.
What are the professions or what are the fields that they want? Yeah.
Right. So thank you, students, for being a great audience. Thank you, teachers, especially the coordinators, for making this happen. Thank you, Bhaiya. Thank you, Pramod sir. Thank you, everybody who did made their contribution in their own way. And thank you, grade 11 and 12 children, for sitting on the floor. And thank you for doing it, because that's how we make you at JPIS. We do the best of whatever the situation is. And thank you, ninth graders, for sitting still for some time. Okay, thank you, everybody. You may leave the meet. Thank you, Sahaj, Naman, Paraj, Manisha ma'am, Sumishri. Grateful to you. A wonderful session. Looking forward for more. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone. Bye.